These fearless leading ladies spoke about the changing landscape of the film business, the problem of sexism in Bollywood, and the fear of commerce killing creativity when they assembled for the Actresses Roundtable.
You know, the films that the four of you made this year are films that would have been hard to make a few years ago. Imagine pitching Piku to a studio a few years ago. The writer or the director would have been told, what's the plot? Story kya hai? Richa, your character in Masand is not an instantly likable protagonist in the way that Hindi film heroines tend to be. Anushka, NH10 is a story of violence and revenge, and it's got a woman at the forefront. And Kalki, who was going to make a movie like Margarita with a Straw, whose protagonist is disabled and gay? I want to ask you all, where do you think the real shift has happened? Is it that the writers and filmmakers now have become braver and want to tell unusual stories? Do you believe that the audience has matured, they've developed an appetite for different films? Or is it that actors have become braver and are willing to take chances?
I think it's a bit of all of that, no? Especially right now, I think. With films like these that you're talking about, Piku, Masand, you know, we all know what films you've done. But it's because actors are taking those kind of choices, brave choices, so it gives the confidence to studios to back those projects, right? Because if an actor is coming there and saying, you know what, I really like this script and I want to do this, they're like, fine, theek hai, we get that additional confidence to be able to push this. Apart from that, of course, I do think there's a huge change in the way in which audiences are receiving films. I'm not saying that it's like a, let's be honest, it's not like a huge kind of audience. You're all of them, especially, right, you know, but there is this shift that's happening where people are more receptive to different content. And the only way that I can, like, you know, explain this to you correctly is when in NH10, when my character is hitting those men, you've never seen a woman do that, right?
That's right.
You've always seen the men like be, you know, do these action thingies and like hit people and be brave and all of that and fight like injustice. And here you have a woman doing it, and there were people actually clapping in the theatre. So I took that as a victory for our films and for for female characters, right? That people are accepting them like that, you know, not in the conventional way that we have seen women being demure and being a good girl. Like, what were the characters? No, they're good girls. Like, everything is fine. It's all justified as long as she's a good girl.
Yeah. We need more female superhero films.
I would love that.
Yeah. Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
Kick some ass.
I think it's also because there's been a steady influx of directors from outside who's been bringing over I think the past 7 or 8 years.
Right.
There's been the big sort of old school studio producer director thing.
The formula films.
And yeah, the formula films. And then you have this like fresh blood literally of directors who've been around long enough to now have perfected whether it's Imtiaz Ali or Anurag or Navdeep Singh. These directors have Shujit Sarkar, they've been around, but now they're sort of at the forefront, and then one doesn't think twice before putting money in their project. I also feel like it's probably because women are working and earning. So when they go into the cinema, they don't mind seeing a woman at the helm of the story.
And also money coming from outside, like in Masand, you know, being produced by half by a French producer. So I think
it's a little bit of everything, Rajeev. It's really, it's like chicken and egg and what comes first. But I think that we also have the ability to be fearless and do the kind of films that we do, because we know somewhere deep down inside that if you're giving the audience good content, they're ready to consume that. And similarly, I think that, you know, and so one thing leads to the other. You know, and I think like a classic example would be, say, a film like Being Cyrus. It was just a little ahead of its time, but had it, you know, maybe come sometime now, it would probably have been accepted more widely than it did, say, a couple of years ago. So it's a combination of everything. I think actors have become
multiplexes.
I think it's also the writers. You know? I think we're giving a lot more credit to writers and to writing. I think which is most important, because earlier we were just making certain kind of films, right? Like Deepika called them formula films, right? They all were the same thing. You can just like change the setting and like whatever conflict in the film changes.
True.
But it's
interchangeable.
And it's not that we don't interchangeable.
And it's not that we don't,
because there was no writing. There was nothing like, there was no different plot. Like you said, there are plot films, and then there's a film like Piku, which there is no plot, but it's writing. That's all because of great writing,
and it's still writing,
Not meaning to say those formula films are still being made, and they still exist.
And they should, because then at least there'll be money in the industry for us to make these smaller films, right? Because I can tell you one thing, having produced NH10, I know for a fact that if it's not for these really big films doing well, these small films don't get made. Because if there's a time in the industry where the big films, a lot of money has been spent. One of them happens to be my own film, Bombay Velvet, and you lose that kind of money. There's a sense of depression in the industry, right? And people don't want to take risks with films, and all these films are, the risky films.
Right.
So everything has to work.
What kind of roles do you find yourself gravitating towards? Are these parts that make you nervous about whether you can pull it off, and therefore you embrace the challenge of doing them? Or do you find yourself going for roles which you read or you listen to and say, I could be really good at this, I could pull this off really well?
Wow. For me, it's the first. At least now in the last few years. For me, it's definitely films that, after a narration or reading a script, you feel like, how am I going to do that? That excites me. I don't want to be safe. I don't want to be in a place where I know what I'm going to do or how it's going to be played, or I don't know. I find that more exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely the challenge of being scared, we're actors. If we wanted to do the same thing over and over, we would have office jobs. The fact that we're actors is that we love something that, changes us and makes us grow as actors. And I think especially as women, we don't often get that chance because we get to play the sidekick to the hero, or we have to look a certain way or be a certain way. So when you get these meaty roles, you jump at that, you're just excited to do something else.
Okay, for me it's the complete. I'm doing a film called Cabaret right now, and it's the first time I'm doing like lip sync songs. The last time I did a lip sync song, I was doing Taar Bijli Se Patle Hamare Piya. There is no correlation in the words, but I find it so hard. It's so difficult to sing a song and emote when you're in high heels and a wig and false lashes and false lenses and like everything stuffed and zipped, and you're like, okay. And then the director says mood, and I'm like, oh my God, hats off to everybody who's done this, and it's hard both ways. It's not like one is exactly.
No, of course it's hard both ways.
It's like you finished the shot and you've just given like that shot in those high heels, and you're like, babe, it is painful.
All the ladylikeness just disappears after the shot.
But I think it's not just for us, right? I think it's for everybody. It's for the guys also. I think we're in a time in the industry where there are lots of different minds. Like like we mentioned, directors, and like she said, there are people coming from different walks of life. They're coming from different cities of India. They have a different perspective. So you have that much variety that you have, right? So then why would you want to, as an actor, why would you want to do the same thing? You want to be challenged, you want to look different, you want people to look at you and say, man, I've never seen her like this before. That's a high, right? For me, I don't want to go on set and just be an actress.
Is there anything you wouldn't do as an actress?
I wouldn't do anything if it was just completely pointless and being done for like no logical reason. It could be anything. Even if there's something as simple as which we're kind of comfortable now in our society is like a kissing scene. If it was completely uncalled for and therefore no reason whatsoever, sometimes, I mean, although that does not happen. I mean, fortunately, you're in a place where you don't get those kind of things that come to you. But yeah, anything which is out of place for no reason, I wouldn't do it.
I don't think I'd do anything which if I go back in time and I see myself as a kid, I don't think I'd do anything which I feel might negatively enforce a prejudice in somebody's mind when they're young or impressionable or whatever. Like lots of stray comments that we heard in older movies, like shaped up how we thought of ourselves. Like I bought my first bleach to become fair. Sonali Bendre ka koi ad aata tha. So I thought, Gora is beauty. Whatever. I mean, that's advertising. But I'm saying in the movies when it's perpetuated, I don't know. I would weigh that with some, and I don't think I have the balls to do nudity yet.
There are certain things in two different ways. I think one is culturally. I think because we belong to a certain nation with certain values. So there are certain do's and don'ts in the endorsement space as well as in the films. So that's one thing. And I think even from the films that you do, you grow up and you've done some work before and you feel like, not that you're ashamed of it or anything, but you grow out of certain things and you're like, you know, it doesn't mean the same thing to you anymore and you may not go down that route again.
Sure.
It's really a tough question because I think as an actor I want to do everything and do anything. You know, nothing should stop you. You know, I don't want to have that prejudice of saying, no, I will never be kissing somebody, or I'll never be a villain, or I'll never do this. You know, I mean, the idea is to push those things which you don't think you can pull off.
Right.
To try and find those characters which you don't relate to, which you might not think is moral or ethical. How do you find the human quality of that character? That's what excites me. But at the same time, of course, it needs to make sense in the plot, that's all, you know, like there are some very, very totally fine, moral, ethical characters, but absolutely no difference to the plot. So I wouldn't do that, you know, so it just depends on the context in which the story and the character is.
Do audiences ever confuse you with the parts that you've played?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
I remember this film, when we were really young, talking about when you're young and you're also, you know, Monsoon Wedding. And then I remember Rajat.
Yeah, I was just
And
thinking
I remember
that.
him,
Poor
I remember
guy.
reading an interview of his and feeling so bad because I as a child, I remember reading this and saying, he did this interview where he said that people just distance themselves from him because they believed that he was that person that he played in that character, and I was like, that's really mean.
Right. Have you faced that? Have any parts sort of stuck?
In a good way, yes. In a good way, yes. I haven't had the opportunity to play a negative character or a rapist, or I don't know, whatever.
Right.
It would be amazing to see you as a rapist, Deepika.
Rapist,
I will put money on that film.
I would like to see that movie.
I haven't been offered any of, any of those, but in a good way, a lot of the good ones have stuck.
Sure.
You know, people address me as Piku now, or they address me as Naina
Yeah, the
Talwar,
names
or
get stuck, yeah.
The names are stuck, or Veronica, you know, so they are very, the audience, yes, it's a very fine line, because after a point they start believing in the characters that that you're playing on screen.
And you know, when you're younger, like you're new, you think like this happened after Rabne, right? So people, especially like in North India and Punjab and all, they start saying, "Yo, Tani partner," and all of that. And I did not know whether I should be happy about it, because I was like, but they should know my name, because a lot of them actually thought I was Sonam Kapoor, right? So like, "Aap Sonam Kapoor, Anil Kapoor ki beti nahi, Anil Kapoor ki beti nahi hu." So they were just calling me Tani partner. At that time, you don't realize that's a great thing. If they can remember you by
the
your
characters,
characters, it
yeah.
means they've
Of
seen the
course.
film and they have bought everything that you've done in that film.
Yeah.
I mean, not for me so much, because I remember going into Delhi.
Listen, मैं अभी तक बोलती हूँ. क्यों तुझे मैं hot नहीं लगती? So that dialogue of yours is stuck in my head.
I will not name anybody, but I did right after that. I was also fresh and new and stupid and young, and I went into film fair just to see how it was, and whatever.
The awards.
Yeah, and this thing happened, and so the a really established director today spoke to everybody like, "Hi Anushka, how are you? Hi Deepika, hi Kalki. Oh Richa, आपका काम बहुत अच्छा था." He assumed that I am actually that person, that I don't know how to speak in English, that I am.
But good on you, that's a great thing.
Yeah, but then Gangs of Wasipur happened, then Bholi Punjab, and everything and like kids were running away from me, and I said, what have I done, So I don't think it's necessarily. Just last night I was at an event where somebody introduced me saying, "Here comes Richa Chadda, ये कह के ले लेंगी और इनकी बंदूक कहाँ है?" And I was like, my God, this is an educated person who can't distinguish between the character and the actor. Of course, yeah, it's flattering and all that, but I mean, you don't want to scare kids at a mall. That's not what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I was a prostitute for 2 years after Devi. I was Chanda for 2 years. I had to break that, and then I was the posh, bratty,
from Zindagi.
Zindagi girl. Thankfully, then there was Ye Jawani, and I'm like this bindas, wonderful girl. So I've kind of
I'm really glad people aren't confusing you for your Margarita character.
Yeah, that's one thing that hasn't happened. Nobody's going, hey, Leila! So we're good. We're all good. Yeah. So but yeah, I agree that I think it's a good thing, right?
You know, actors are routinely criticized for never taking a stand when it comes to hot button issues. When they do, as we've seen in the case of Aamir and Shah Rukh recently, the backlash can be quite severe. Still, it's important that public personalities, actors take a stand. Do you feel that enough of you do?
You know, I don't know about this one because I always feel like people always say this, that actors have a responsibility, an actor has a responsibility to deliver in their job as an actor, just as much as a banker in their job. The choice is personal.
Sure.
It's a very personal choice.
Sure.
And yes, you are seen by many people.
Right.
And it's fantastic if you have something that you know a lot about and you're passionate about and you can do something about. But for every actor to be an activist on every topic is ridiculous. We are human beings at the end of the day.
I think where it gets tricky is exactly this, which is if you take a stand,
you should know what
and you don't agree with everyone.
Right.
If you do, then you're like put on a pedestal. For God forbid, if your opinion disagrees, then you know what happens. And if you don't take a stand, then you're just branded as someone who never takes a stand, and you're in a place of power, and you still don't say
And you're
anything.
not using that
it's
power
very
to
difficult.
But I don't think anyone should expect that out of actors, like Kalki said. It is a very personal
And for
choice.
some reason,
and the only
anything that can happen in the country, anything. Bollywood is just crucified.
True.
For what?
Yeah.
But that's the result of the fact that our heroes are our demigods.
Can
no?
I
Our
really
actors are
say
our-
You get
something?
accused.
It's a serious problem. If actors are role models, I'm sorry, find better role models. Don't put actors and cricketers and people like that who already are dealing with. See, youth is at a premium. Not all of us are mature enough to sort of take in everything that comes our way, whether it's being in the public eye or like relationships. You get so much unnecessary flack for so many things. Why can't we find better role models? Why can't we have, say, better leaders who people can look up to and say people who are actually achieving things, or like astronauts or scientists or farmers or somebody.
But
It doesn't need to be a project is what I'm saying.
Sure.
It doesn't need to be like, you know what, I'm an actor, so now I need to like take up this and that and this and this. It's a personal choice, as like she said.
But what about film-related causes? For example, the FDI issue, which is something that we feel a sense of empathy for those students who've been protesting something that's wrong
We
in their
cannot-
case.
no.
Do you not feel
We cannot.
like your voice or your sort of taking a stand on that would help that cause? Do you feel like?
Okay, 1 second. This has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
The FTI thing, for example. Say all four of us have sat here and we've commented on it. Have we found a solution to it? We've not found a solution to it. So we can sit here and keep commenting about everything and have an opinion, and that's great.
And whose opinion, if someone comes to you, they have their agenda.
Right.
They always have their agenda.
yeah.
Whether it's
Especially
good
things
or,
like these.
or bad, whether it's right or wrong, that's for us to decipher. But they have an agenda. You are a publicity pawn at the end of the day. There is a game happening, a much bigger game. And you need to not be playing that
Exactly.
game.
When it came to this whole the censor board,
Right.
acting all crazy, at that time Einstein was stuck there, right?
Yeah.
So I was speaking a lot about it, but because it was affecting me and affecting the entire industry. But at that time I could speak, so my voice becomes louder and becomes more stronger because there's so much more at
can bring
stake. So
to it,
even so, if I'm adding on to any pressure, it's happening because my film is stuck somewhere, and I'm saying, listen, my film has been stuck for a week. So you guys are doing this, so it just becomes louder, right? It just becomes more potent. But if you're just going to be like just a voice for everything, it doesn't necessarily mean that something is going to actually happen.
There's a raging debate going on in Hollywood right now about sexism. In fact, there's a federal investigation that's going on to find out if studios have denied equal opportunities to female filmmakers.
That's awesome.
Actresses like Patricia Arquette and Meryl Streep have spoken about
Pay.
inequality in pay. Jennifer Lawrence wrote an essay in which she said not only are women paid less than men, but they're also meant to feel guilty about expecting more money.
Yes,
Yes.
that was a very well written
Piece. Yeah. You know, this is a malaise that exists here as well, and some of you have spoken about it. How do you think this will change?
You know, you just said that there's a federal investigation. That's how it changes. It changes. It doesn't change just because Jennifer Lawrence is writing something, she's saying something. That, like I said, can be a potent voice. It can be like something that puts pressure on people. But till a federal investigation does not happen, nothing is going to change.
Legislations and
that's
laws.
the answer to the question. And listen, it's not just about the wage that we get. We all know we get paid lesser than what we should, right? There's people actually make an effort to make you feel like you're lesser than the other person, whether it's in small ways of like the car you're given, the room that you're given, you know, but you want to make the boy feel like you are more important to our film. I'm saying, chalo, you want to say you don't want to give money, don't do these kind of things. Then you see these signs, then you know it's very wrong. The mindset is very, very wrong, and we are talking about educated people, right? We speak about how girls get treated badly in, like, you know, villages and all of that. Here we are talking about educated people, well-traveled people, people who are supposed to be evolved, and they are doing this kind of discrimination. So listen, so the only thing that can save this is federal investigation.
Also, I think it's very complex in the sense that you can't just straight away say, chalo, every woman should be paid the same as men, because the man is still being the hero of a film. So the money is coming in from there. So it's also the structure. It's the fact that we need to tell different stories. We need to make the woman as important a role in society as a man. And then, you know, it's small steps. It's not going to happen like magic wand by, you know.
And I think it is happening with this year. So
many
films are doing
I'm
that
going to be
made
positive
money
on this situation and say that it's not as bad as it's being reported, because for all of us who've now been in the industry for at least 6, 7, 8, 10 years, whatever, it's definitely much better than what it was. And it's not going to happen overnight.
No, you have to set examples, right? Like if you have set an example with a film like, say, Tanu Weds Manu, or in your case, your film, and you've said that I've been, it's, you know, yes, of course, let's give credit, there was Irfan Khan and there was Amitabh Bachchan in the film, but yes, it was like, you know, it was a female protagonist heavy film, and you've been able to get that much money into a theatre, then you're making a change. Then you are making a change, right? I don't know if it's going to happen the other way around. Maybe it will. But when you're in a position, you've set an example, and you're saying, you know, so this has happened now, I deserve to get paid that much. Then I think the change kind of will happen.
I'm going to be a little bit cheeky. Sorry, I can't hear. The thing is, yes, she's right about the woman bringing the money into the theatre, and hence, so let's agree, it's about the person and how many tickets they can sell, right? But don't you think it's just a tad bit unfair that the male members in the industry, several of them who are gods we've grown up watching, have had 20 some years to create that market base, and as an actress you're told very often things like 30, 35, all of that, and it's like a systematic cleansing that happens, and I find it really ridiculous.
It's up to you to change that system.
Yeah, we're all trying.
So yes, we will all be told that you have a shelf life. We will all be told many other things. But it's up to each one of us individually and how you want to break out of that.
Chalo guys, 10 years from now, I'm going to write a film with the 4 of us in it, okay? We will make that film.
Done. This is my signing amount.
All right.
Does it have to be 10 years, you think?
I'm saying when we get
Because
rejected,
writing a really good film,
we're all doing anti-aging cream. We had one anti-aging cream for the last 10 years. We're like, come on, bitches, let's do this, yeah.
Listen, you know what? It's also the society. Like, let's just not say the industry. It's the society. You know, your society wants to exactly. Your society wants to look at young.
Like
आप देखोगे नहीं I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you're ready to see like older actors in like main roles, but you will not digest a girl who's older just because she's older. It's not like so like desirable for you.
That's right.
So if you're going to, what is desirable? Now that's like some kind of a sexual connotation attached to it, right?
Of course.
So the day we start doing roles, which is not just sexual,
About-
glamorous, about looking hot and about looking beautiful, that is
Yeah.
another way in which we will change.
We
the
can
system.
make a Zindagi Na Milegi with girls in their
Girls.
40s going on
Yeah.
a road trip, yeah?
Exactly.
I mean, what
Kalki,
are
write
we
that
doing?
one.
Right?
Write that one.
I'm
Kalki,
telling
write
you.
that one. Don't go back on your work. Can you please cut this out of your interview because we don't want people to get the idea.
Yeah. This copyright.
There is an obsession with box office, a tendency only to focus on numbers and on opening weekends,
It's
and
terrible.
to lose track of the
It's
fact
terrible.
that a film is also about storytelling and characters.
Absolutely.
Do you think that this craving for big box office has damaged opportunities for women to get good roles or better roles?
I don't know if it's damaged anything in that sense, because I mean in the last few years we've seen a lot of like mainstream. For me, Piku's not your Piku's mainstream,
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, NH10 is mainstream now. First of all, I think the biggest achievement for us in the last few years will be that we don't differentiate our films anymore with commercial and art house. Few years ago, they'd be branded as art house heroines or like art house films, and
Right.
we are
Or
like
they might just say
commercial.
Anushka's going into the art
But you know,
house.
the expectation from a Piku or an NH10 in terms of opening numbers is not going to be what it is from a Bajirao Mastani or a Dil Dhadakne Do or
The
a
budget is so much less also.
Dilwale,
No, you're
right.
being responsible in that sense. Like a film like Pico is not
No,
having the
but
budget
it's just,
of a film
I just
like
feel
Ye
like
Jawani.
creativity is lost in the process. We've become, today we associate unfortunately numbers and success.
Correct.
And that's really sad. I'm going to say it. Piku did not make 100 crores, but it's a film for a lifetime.
True.
But it's
You know,
also
it's a
not
film we're
made
so
on,
proud of,
50,
and it's-
60 crores. That's
But
the
you know,
difference.
No, but when I think of this, I always think that I don't know the box
How many
office
of the,
collection
how
of
many of the
Mughal
200
Azam.
crore films are we going to watch again?
Indeed. Indeed.
So for me, a successful film or the sign of a successful film is a film that has repeat value, a film that we
Is
brand a
memorable.
classic, and a film that we will want to watch even 10 years later.
Sure.
That's the sign
And
of a
this is not
successful
being
film.
idealistic. If you look at a lot of cult films that we watch, if you ask people what was the business that this
Right.
cult film
Yeah.
did, they
Yeah.
actually didn't
Who
even do that
remembers?
much
And a lot
business.
of them have
And you
not
don't
done great
remember
numbers, yeah?
the big
numbers.
ones.
Yeah.
You don't
Like even
remember
Dil
it.
Chahta Hai, which was like a very, very important film
For that time,
for
yeah.
that time.
Did not
Who
make a
knows?
lot of money.
We didn't
yeah.
discuss numbers back
Numbers,
then.
yeah.
So
But
when
I think
is
it's
this
also this. I think this thing now, numbers. I think media should play a huge part
You're
in
right.
trying to
In
remove
changing
this
that attitude,
exactly
yeah.
this
Yeah.
attitude because today. You
the
ask a
audience has
child.
started asking.
You ask a
Business
small
yeah.
kid.
You're right.
Yeah.
You,
Right.
my cousin.
My mom knows what
Acha,
what
yeah.
box
My,
office
my
numbers
cousins
are,
and
yeah.
my niece, they know 100 crore and
Yeah.
200 crores. I don't even think they know how many zeros go in that many crores, but they know that films are successful if it's 100 crores or 200 crores. They came and asked me this kind of question. Aapki film mein kitna kiya, Didi? And I'm like, chup, you're not going to grow up like this.
Kalki, you filmed 2 love scenes in Margarita with a Straw, which required some nudity. You know, it felt completely natural and true to the moment, but was it hard?
It was definitely not natural at all when we were shooting, Rajeev. It was pretty tough. And I'm really
That's
comfortable
a
with
lie.
and that's a lot saying from me, right?
Yeah,
Deepika knows how comfortable I am with my naked body, okay? Poor thing has had to deal with that.
Not poor.
However, I'm quite all right. You know, when I got the script, and I saw the value of the scene, that we don't see the disabled as a sexual person,
That's
and
right.
that was very valuable to. And for that reason, it was important to have the sex scene in the film. However, I was not prepared for the fact that there are 20 people surrounding us, watching us. I have this little kacha underwear and that's it, and I'm sitting there. You're naked in more ways than one, and you feel very vulnerable, and you're doing it over and over. You're undressing over and over several times. So it was far more taxing than I thought it would be.
Richa, you said nudity is something that you can't wrap your head around just yet.
No.
Is that how you all feel as well?
I have grown up with like 4 brothers in a Punjabi household. In my head, I cannot have anybody YouTubing me, which I'm sure will happen anyway. I mean, it happens to everyone. But I would like to come to a place of evolution in my own person and in the business that we are in and in the industry and in the country, with where nudist paintings are not torn apart and artists are not facing a backlash, or people are not commenting on an actress's I mean, Seema Bishwas got flack for Bandit Queen.
Yeah.
She really, so I don't know if I do not judge it. I think it's beautiful, but I admit that I don't have courage for it just yet. And honestly, it's very difficult for anybody. If it wasn't, it wouldn't make headlines even in Hollywood.
True.
It does.
That's right. Do you all feel similarly?
I agree with, I don't think I have the confidence to be, it's a lot of hard work also, you know, to make it, if it's required to be aesthetic, it's a lot of hard work also, because I think we've done bikini stuff and it's really tough, it's very, very tough. But more than that, I think, I don't know, I don't think I'm ready for that. I don't think ever actually, I don't think I'll
I think in perspective, if you ask me right now, I would be uncomfortable with it, because I know so much about how things work here.
Yeah.
Right. And I think more than me being, am I comfortable with my body? I'm very comfortable with my body. But it's more about what you've seen around you, right? Our system, even like our films, the way we're talking about like the discrimination between women and men, right? So in that stage, in that space, you feel like maybe you wouldn't want to. But it is about, I mean, it's about perspective. Like maybe if, I don't know, that's why I say, I will never say never, but it really depends. If it reaches a point, like she said, where we live in a world where these things are just looked at for what it is, for stories, for art, and if by, you know, just you can make someone think about and look at the problem of a disabled person, where it's a basic human need to, you know, being sexual is a basic human need. And when you don't see that, like she said, in disabled persons, if you have the power to be able to do that, if people had the you know, evolved enough to be able to see that in that world, maybe then I would feel like, you know, really comfortable doing it. But right now I feel, I think it's.
I want to ask you finally, all of you, if you could wake up tomorrow morning and you had this power to change any one thing about the film business, what would it be?
These pressure questions, one thing, like it.
Like, let's think of an intelligent answer.
What's the change you'd most like to see?
I just want, a lot of times, you know, like I joke with my friends and I say that a lot of us are like very successful in this country because people have poor standards. People have poor standards because we are very accepting of mediocrity in our country, right? In many ways, like not just in our industry. I'm not making a comment only on the industry. In general, we are very accepting.
चलता है.
चलता है. This चलता है जो attitude होता है, and you have heard it so many times. अरे जल्दी ठोक लो scene को ठोक लो जल्दी आज खत्म करना है, and all of that. I think when we start, like, not just in this way, but also people who are putting money in the film, if there's a person over there who understands films for what they are, they have the full knowledge of it, and not just like, you know, जल्दी से बनाना है या हमारे पास आज हमारा इतना ही पैसा है डालने के लिए इसमें, and all of that. I think once that changes and once we start to kind of push our boundaries, you know, in every way, actors, writers, directors, producers, you know, all of them. I think for me that would be the best and all-encompassing change.
Okay.
I mean, I would agree with Anushka on this, that, you know, it's really mediocrity is the one thing I would want to change. That you work with passion in whatever field it is, you know. And so many times I come on board on a script, I'm so excited, like, oh my God, so should I work on this accent because this girl is from here, and you know, I have to figure. And I've had this comment of, don't intimidate the audience with your acting. You just keep it neutral, you know.
Oh my God.
And so there's this, so there's this perspective of like, chalo, we just want to make a film, we just want to make it. And that thing of pushing yourself in whatever it is that you do a good job of it. It's like that thing of, if you're a street sweeper, just sweep the streets, you know, and learn to speak. But you know, it's just that, like doing what you do with focus and with sincerity. I think that's what's often lacking.
Sure.
I think apart from everything that's been spoken on the table in terms of girl power, sexism, ageism, patriarchy, pay, whatever, all that's good. technically, I just want more screens in the country.
Sure.
That's
And I
true.
know that because I saw how Masand suffered. Because Bajrangi Bhaijaan and Bahubali became two of the like making 5,100 crores, and there it was this little baby which was, had to be pushed. And if there are more screens, because there really isn't any other means of entertainment in the country apart from sports and maybe now politics. But I'm saying if there are more screens, there people have more access to it. There were people who were driving down from say Ratlam to Ahmedabad to catch a show, and they found one show at like all that. I'm saying so purely technically for me, if there were more screens, it would really benefit cinema, and all of these things would come up. The writing would improve. There's more avenues to display.
I think they've covered it all. Yeah, I'm surrounded by very intelligent women, so I think we've covered all of it. Yeah, if anything, I think in my recent experience, I would say. And thank you to the good films that have happened, nurturing our writers. That's something that we don't.
Obviously, I have something more also to say now.
I'm a writer, guys. I'm going to
maybe a little more equality also. Not equality. Unity, not equality. Sorry. Just a little more unity amongst everyone. If we really want to see a change, yes, I am someone who believes that change begins with yourself, and if you want to see change, it has to start here. But I also feel like maybe for us, and especially the women, maybe we need to be a little more together.
This unity amongst actresses is very, very important, because I would like to tell you that I think actresses are way more friendlier than we are perceived to be. We are way more friendlier. But I think what happens,
really sensible lot.
because babe, it helps them. Like me and Deepika are supposed to be fighting with each other. We are supposed to not get along with each other. There is no reason why that would happen. I've never had a spat with her. I've never had there's nothing that has happened. So what is this not getting along? We've gone to the same college. We come from the same city. In fact, we have a history. But no, it is created. Then what happens? When so much of it is spoken about, when you meet each other, it's awkward.
You're not sure whether it's because I've not created it, and she's obviously thinking she's not created it. But then when we meet somewhere, we're like, I'm okay, but is she okay?
And she was thinking, it's not even that. It just creates that that negative kind of thing over there when you meet people.
I think we're just thinking too much on behalf of other people.
And
it's not so complicated.
Because if you're talking about empowering actresses today, I think if we all stand together, and the one way of doing it is cut this bullshit of actresses ka ranking that they do, right? Number one, number two. Cut that. You know why? Because you're not doing that for the heroes. Why you're not doing that for the heroes? Because you think that many heroes can coexist, but actresses should be only these. She's the only one who needs to be there. Only the first two or the first three are the important ones. When you stop that, then you are. But then actresses need to stop that also. They need to stop saying or trying to get into that, exactly. That needs to stop. Then you're really helping your kind,
I just think we need to stop getting played,
we
get played a lot.
Get played.
Press and
Right. Well, here's to that. I think we covered a lot of ground in this conversation. Thank you so much. You are the present, you are the future. I'm looking forward to lots more exciting work from you.
That's so refreshing to hear. That's so refreshing to hear.
Thank you.
Give me your 50 years.
However long we want to, whatever.
As long as you choose to be there. Thank you so much. Looking forward to lots more exciting work from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.